Ready podcast. You're in the team room. This is a live question and answers with Tech Sergeant, and I'm going to try it. Gus Gustaloom.
Perfect. You got it.
Dude, I mess up people's names constantly, so everybody knows that I'm a complete idiot, and I was educated in the South Carolina education system, so it doesn't take me that far. But definitely appreciate you joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
No, yeah, for sure. So I was born in Mexico and moved to the States when I was about 7, 8 years old. Grew up in Montana, actually, in Great Falls, Malmstrom Air Force Base area. Graduated high school from there. Joined the Air Force straight out of high school. Joined as a mechanic, aerospace ground equipment, which is working out on the flight line with aircraft and stuff like that. Did that for 6 years. And after 6 years, like, to be honest with you, I was like, you know what? I'm getting out. And I got out, and
You actually
one
got out
month.
and separated.
Yes, sir. Yep.
What?
And 1 month later, like to the day, 1 month later, after I received like the first two paychecks from my new civilian job, and then I'm looking at like how much in taxes are taken out, how much I'm paying for health insurance that only covers 80%. Like I went running to the nearest recruiting office. And I'm like, yo, like, I know the Air Force needs mechanics, and that's what I used to do. Like, let's get me back in. And then, unfortunately, prior service list, they look my job up and they're like, sorry, dude, like, you're not on the list. You can't get in. And so year after year, I would go back, and it literally took me 5 years and 8 months to be able to get back in. I was able to get back in by luck as a recruiter. And then I've been recruiting since 2013. 3 years doing enlisted accessions recruiting. From 2016 to about 2019, I did line officer recruiting for the commissioned officers. Then I did health professions recruiting, and then officer accessions. They combined the two. And then 2023, June 2023, I moved out to Puerto Rico to be the special warfare recruiter out here. First time we physically had a special warfare recruiter assigned out here.
Yeah. You said, did I hear that right? 5 years it took you to get back, 5 years, and I think you said 8 months to get back in.
Yes.
Wow, that is one, like, kudos to you for persevering through that, because, like, man, 5 years is a long time to like sit here and be told no, 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 or like not yet, or whatever it is. You got to wait. Like, wow.
And I feel bad too, because like the first time I went to the recruiting office, like I thought they were just like didn't want to like work or something. So I'm like, I was cursing them out, like, hey, get off your butt. And I know the Air Force is hiring for mechanics, but now that I'm a recruiter, I completely understand that once you're categorized prior service, there's only certain jobs, and actually there's very few jobs that are available for prior service members.
So I actually wasn't tracking that. Like, so there is a dedicated list that the Air Force puts out that says we will accept prior service and we won't for these AFSCs. Like, so what are the kind of, there's no way you know the list. You've been recruiting since 2013. You know a lot. There's no way you know the whole list. Besides, I'm sure it probably changes. So what are like some of the kind of career fields that are able to join being private service?
Yeah, actually, I do have a list from this year. Let me look it up on my other phone.
Yeah, no worries.
But typically there's, and again, it does change year to year. But typically there will be, I would say, anywhere between 10 to 20 different positions, but only 100 in total. And that's not just 100 for like, hey, Puerto Rico. No, it's 100 for the entire world. Prior service members that decided to get out and live in Europe or whatever. So typically, like how it works, and it makes sense too, like if you think of it from a business side of it, Air Force does a great job on actually filling those slots with Air Force members that were on active duty that had the exact same job, or Air Force Reserve members or Air National Guard members that want to go active duty and they have the exact same job. So the Air Force fills that active duty slot, doesn't have to worry about sending somebody back to tech training and spend money, time. It's just boom, transfer over to active duty, go to your first base.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely a money saver, and if the Air Force and the DoD can save money, it will definitely do that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's prior service.
Nice, man. Well, and like I said, you've been, or like you said rather, you've been in the game of recruiting since 2013. I mean, you're
Yeah,
coming up on what are you talking about? 13 years coming up here pretty soon. Like that's a long
yeah.
time to be in recruiting.
Oh, I mean, honestly, I mean, people do stay in recruiting sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. But for a recruiter to stay, we call it production, like you're actually recruiting, because there are other jobs that fall with under recruiting, but it's more like admin or training, things like that. But yeah, I don't think like an Air Force recruiting service history, like I don't think they've ever had a
Yeah.
recruiter like on production this long. That's why I don't have no hair.
Yeah.
I lost it all.
Yeah. Well, it's going back to what you were talking about with waiting 5.5 year or 5 years, 8 months to rejoin and your frustrations with recruiters and stuff like that. And now that you're on this side of it, you see and understand why. Um, like it's not really a question, more of a statement, but it's like it's interesting to hear you say that, and I'm glad to hear you say that because you have folks that have never done any time with the Air Force or don't have any family members in the Air Force. You have folks that have family, mom and or dad were in the Air Force and then they want to join, or they got a brother and these recruiters they lied to you. They're just trying to get you in there so that they can get you and I've always tried to be like, hey man, is it possible that you got a fire hose of information and that maybe you misunderstood something? And that also, when you're asking your brother who's a Marine, one, he's a Marine, he's not in the Air Force. There are differences, and then two is, when he came in 2015 to 2025, maybe the regulations and things have been different. I don't know. I'm sure you're experiencing that. I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but
Oh yeah. No, and it's exactly that. Prime example. So like out here where I'm at, like I meet so many people that so the way we use the term military, like when we say military, we're talking about all the branches. Where I'm at, like a lot of people, I would say even 90%, when they say army, they're meaning to say military.
yep.
So they actually, a lot of people think that all the military members are all in the army and that the Air Force are the army members that actually work on planes. So yeah, so and over here, like, and it looks better when you try to go like reserve or guard. Uh the the Army National Guard, man, like they do very well out here. But same thing though, like they people, like, hey, you can stay here if you join the Army National Guard. But then later on, they're calling us like, hey, like I need a good paying job. Like my civilian job, I'm only making like $11 an hour out here. Like
Yeah.
I need a job that pays and has benefits. And then when they try to transfer over, we're like, man, sorry, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the 330th, you're part of the 330th recruiting squadron, and you guys have got limited amount of people that are actually Air Force special warfare, special operations recruiters, right? And so they regionally place you guys around the US in some of the hot spots. And you said there's never been a Puerto Rico one. So
There hasn't been a recruiter physically here.
right.
The recruiter that would cover Miami, Florida area, that recruiter would like come out here, TDY like once a month.
Okay.
But never like full time. I'm the first full time, and don't get me wrong, man. Like my first year out here, it was not good. And I'm a very competitive guy, so like not doing well, like dude, that got to me. But now I'm in year 2, and I think I'm doing very well. Just spreading the word, advertising for Air Force and Special Warfare, and I'm helping the guys out here, bringing in just regular Air Force members that want to join, and out of those, some eventually like check out what we're doing, like, oh, they're working out and doing cool stuff, man. Like I'm gonna go talk to that guy,
Yeah.
or just people that did the research and decided to just go seek special warfare from the get-go.
So do you only, so with that, since the other recruiter kind of was in Southern Florida and handled PR and stuff like that, do you strictly stick to PR, or are you based out of PR and then you go up into Southern Florida?
No, so I strictly cover Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's rough out here.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly was thinking like doing this at the beach on a beach chair, like, but I'd probably get in trouble. I'll be like, what are you doing?
You're supposed to be representing. Oh, that's cool. All right. Well, earlier today, I put out a story on our Instagram,
Uh-huh.
looking for questions because we like to highlight whenever we get a chance to talk to a special warfare recruiter. And so I'm gonna hop on here and see what kind of questions we got.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be only special warfare. Like I've recruited everything, so I can kind of give insight on everything.
No, that's great. So one of the questions is, what's the usual timeline for getting a prior service package approved?
Prior service package approved to come in as special warfare or what?
Yeah, he doesn't say whether it's special warfare or not, but since that's kind of the tone that
Yeah.
we're going for, let's try that, because just based off of your personal experience, I mean, it could be 5+ years. So
Yeah. No, so if they're coming in strictly special warfare, it's however much time it's gonna take them to get to a fitness standard where they're actually passing the IFT. Out here, typically, like if they're really motivated, 1 month. And I'm talking about like weak applicants, like can do a pull-up, can only do like 20 sit-ups, 17 push-ups, cannot run 6 laps. Those have been my best applicants out here, actually.
really,
And I give them recommendations. I'm not special warfare. I'm just a recruiter. I'm not a personal trainer. Heck, I'm not an athlete. But I just came up with, like a workout. I'm like, hey, 3 workouts a day, Monday through Friday. In the morning, you're doing the IFT every morning, minus the swim. In the afternoon, you're going to the pool and you're going to spend 1 hour at the pool. If that's like swimming laps for an hour or mixing it up, swimming some laps, treading water, that's your midday workout. And then your third workout in the evening is just do something, but do something that's low impact. If you got a dog, hey, go walk your dog. Go walk your dog for 2 miles. Go walk. And it works. If you're motivated, if you're making the time and you're being honest and doing it, like I've seen it within 1 month, somebody that, like I said, couldn't do a pull-up was, yeah. And he made it. He already shipped out.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the best day to start was yesterday, and since
Yeah.
you can't go back, then today is the best day to start. And
Yeah.
so,
So it's that plus I would say plus, I would say, man, 6 months to a year.
Okay.
Yeah, once they're fully qualified, we got to send it up to like headquarters, and yeah, that takes some time.
Do they need to be completely out of, well, let's say we're doing two different things. So prior service, yeah, it's probably quicker than if you were doing a sister service crossover. Um, but prior
It's
service, you also got to depend on the ship date too.
yeah, yeah, and actually, if they're active duty, like they still kind of follow the same prior service protocol. If somebody had completely gotten out
Okay.
in regards to like the process.
Okay, so it's fairly similar, just maybe a few little minor nuances that they
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, like if
Cool.
they're still in, they would have to get their leadership to approve a conditional release. So if somebody that's out, like they don't have to do that, but if somebody's in the reserve, the guard, or active duty with a different branch, they have to. And usually a recruiter will not like really give them too much time if they do not have one signed. Because yeah, it happens to a lot of recruiters. Like we do take our time and spend some time talk to individuals like that. But then at the end of the day, they come back and be like, man, they told me no. They
Yeah,
will not sign my conditional release.
yeah.
So
Well, we got a question in the chat from Chinchilling, and I'll take this one, and then I'd love to hear your input on what additional things you think. So she she says, I'm a petite chick. I have a bachelor's degree and I'm about to turn 33. I know I can't be a PJ or special forces. Laugh out loud. But what would I be able to do to help support aspect war directly? And is that a thing? So um, you're the only one saying that you can't be a PJ or special forces, but like whatever, take that aside, right? Um, there, take a special tactics squadron or a rescue squadron or even a air support operations squadron, right? So you've got TACPs, you got special tactics, which is combat control, pararescue, special reconnaissance, and TACPs, and all these units have riggers for packing parachutes. They have info. They have admin people. They have armorers. They have vehicle maintenance people. All there to help support the mission and support the operators that are at one of those units to help them not just maintain their training, maintain their currency and their proficiency, but also to help them get out the door. And some of those folks deploy with us too, and go to FOBs or forward operating bases with us to go do things. Right now, that doesn't mean that they're going to be. I mean, they'll be carrying a gun, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be, going on target and stuff like that. But still getting a chance to go to a remote fob, hang out, help support the mission in whatever way possible. You absolutely can do that.
yeah,
I mean, there's so many things. So I open
yeah.
up to you, see what you got to say to
No,
that.
and I agree. Um, Anything in the Air Force, you are helping. You're affecting special warfare one way or the other, regardless of like what job you're doing. So for her, you said she was 33
Yep.
and she has a
She says
bachelor's.
she's 33 and has a bachelor's.
Okay. So, and again, everybody's current situation is different. Um, but what I always tell people, because we do get a lot of individuals that if they have a degree, they're like, "Meh, I'm too good to enlist. Like enlisting is below me." So typically, I'll like when somebody comes to me like that, then I tell them, oh, okay, well, check this out. Have you bought a house yet? And usually they're like, no. It's like, okay, cool. I got 5 houses. I bought my first one when I was 19 years old. I was an airman first class. Second house. That was in Charleston Air Force Base, South Carolina. Second house, Phoenix, Arizona. Third house, Washington State. Fourth house, state of Florida, Melbourne, Patrick Air Force Base. Fifth house, Gurabo, Puerto Rico. Got a big house, big pool. And because I'm in the Air Force, like, and again, like a 19-year-old, I was a kid. Like, what other scenario would a kid of 19 years old be able to like have a job to where they can save a big down payment to be able to afford to buy a house, like,
Yep.
and then that's some of the benefits that we get. So I would advise her to, yeah, just be honest with herself and like look at her current situation, look at how much money she's making, look at, is she paying rent? Would she want to buy a house? Because everybody I put in the Air Force, like I tell them that, like, go through boot camp, tech school, get to your base. If you're single, you're going to be in the dorms for a little while. You're not going to have a roommate. It's going to be your own little apartment. But when you get the opportunity to move off base, buy a house because it's
Yeah.
it's easy. No down payment. Like they know the money's good because you work for the Air Force, you work for this company that's gonna guarantee you like your money on the 1st and 15th of every month.
Regardless of whether there's a government shutdown. That's the funny part
Yeah,
about it. Whenever people talk about
yeah,
a government shutdown, like, oh no, the military is not going to get played.
yeah.
Well,
No, we
they
get
will have
paid.
to. Yeah. Um, it's funny is in the chat, she actually retorted with that. And she's like, I don't think enlisted are below officers. I would enlist, but everyone enlisted tells me to go officer. Here's what I would tell you is in the Air Force, the tacticians, the experts in their craft are regardless, like take maintainers, right? It's the enlisted that are the ones turning the wrenches, doing the work, right?
Mhm.
It's not the officers. The officers are there to manage and lead the people, not turn a wrench. So if you want to actually be the one that is doing the thing, whatever that happens to be, that's when you go enlisted. If you want to, you know, do the leadership management thing, then that's where you go officer, unless you're going pilot, and then that's something completely different, right?
Yeah.
But man, you can absolutely and you can do 10 years as an enlisted person, and then you could go to
Come
OTS,
on.
transfer over, and then become an officer.
Yep.
So you get the best of both worlds.
Yep. Apply to commission.
Yeah,
No guarantee that they select you. It's just an like job application
right.
process. So but yeah, and that's why I usually say, each individual just has to be really honest with themselves. Now, for her, if she currently has a full-time job that she's extremely happy at, and she's making, I'd say, $30 an hour, and she's getting good benefits, like I would say, hey, you're good. Like
Yeah,
you're good. Stay there. You know what I mean? But if she's wanting more, if she wants to be part of something greater than herself, because it is pretty amazing, like being part of the Air Force. When I first joined, and again, I grew up in Montana, and I'm not a U.S. born citizen. I did eventually get my U.S. citizenship. Um, but once I got into the military, like walking around in uniform and just having random people that I don't even know, like just shake my hand. Some would give me a hug, like, oh, thank you for your service. Like, to be honest with you, at first it was weird.
yeah, it's very
but but now it's like now I understand. Like, man, yeah, a
yeah,
lot of people wish they could join, but perhaps life happens and they're not able to, or they're too fearful, or they don't have enough information on it, or this or they're disqualified. um but yeah.
yeah. No, absolutely. And there, so Will Remington is in the chat too, and he's been watching us for a while. He's been to a couple of our events that we hold, and man, he's got some frustrations because what he says is, why does the military discriminate so hard against hiring veterans? And it's he has been he like and we'll laugh about this, and I think that's probably him harding, but like he has sent us massive email with so much detail, and we've talked about it at our events, and like just hearing it, you can tell the frustration and tell the despair is not the right word, but the frustration and disappointment and the like, dude,
Yep.
all I want to do is serve my country. All I want to
Yep.
do is do this job. And that's That's the part that is kind of heartbreaking for me when I see that. Is I get people that do exactly what you're talking about, right? They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They want to serve. They want to do just great things and work with great people and go
Yep.
experience different things. And they just, for whatever reason, they have struggle with it, you know?
Yep. And I would say like just thinking, right? An idea to kind of like have be able to do something for prior service and Air Force still be, not spending too much money and stuff like that. I would say something like if somebody is prior service, like if they're willing to like start at the lower rank from what they were, then it's like then there would be no difference between somebody brand new that's never joined compared to those individuals. However, the veteran would obviously be like a for sure thing, like, hey, we know you're going to be good because obviously you made it through boot camp and, completed your enlistment and whatnot. But yeah.
And that does happen, right? Like a lot of times, because the Army promotion rates are a lot different than the Air Force promotion rates. Like, famously, Green Berets get E7 at 7 years. That's what they call it, 7 at 7. 7 years they pick up E7, and 7 years for us is if you're kind of quick burning it, right? You're probably an E6.
And
More
or you're still a senior airman if you're doing stuff you shouldn't be doing.
Right. Hey, who am I to judge, right? I'm not out here judging, right? But I definitely wasn't an E6 at 7 years.
Yeah.
So like it's tough and it depends. And with the promotion rates of the Air Force, how it ebbs and flows and stuff like that. So, a lot of times, unless you've had the rank on, and I'm still using the Army example, unless you've had the rank on for quite some time, if you are an E7 and you transfer over to the Air Force, there's a good chance that you're going to start as an E6. Or
Mm-hmm.
if you're an E6, you'll start an E5 and so on.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that rank on for a certain amount of time, or else
I
they'll,
want to say it's at least 2 years
yeah.
or something like that. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
you have to have it on for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, let's see. Here's another question. I know I can do it at 36, but will my height be a problem? This may be more of my realm anyway, because I don't. Will my height be a problem because I stand out like a sore thumb at 5'2"? Is there a height standard? Will it be a
Shoot,
problem?
that person's good. 5'2". I thought she was gonna say something like 3 foot. I don't know, But no, you're good. 5'2",
Hey,
you're good.
Francisco, that's his name. Dude, I'm 5'4", right? So 2 inches is
Yeah.
not big of a difference. And
No,
I made it.
yeah. And I'm
There
not
are
making this up. Like I saw I'm pretty sure he was a recruiter at one of our semi-annual training conventions. Man, I could have swore he was probably like 4'5". Like I'm like, what? Who is that?
man.
I hope he's not watching.
Yeah, yeah. I doubt it. The only people that are watching are your family and my family and maybe a few friends. But um yeah, and the thing about being short is, yeah, there are things and movements and events and stuff like that you are going to be at a disadvantage. Conversely, though, there are lots of other events where you're going to excel at because you're shorter, right? So I mean, it's just like some of the taller folks, they do great in some things, and then when we're crawling through drainage ditches and stuff like that, and I'm able to just squat and kind of duck walk through there, they're hurting really bad, so
Yep. Oh yeah.
it's give and take.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Oh, and I got another one here. It says Grande Harambe. Dude, I like that. I like that handle. I'm about to enlist, no college credit, and not an Eagle Scout or anything like that. And we'll go in as an E1. Is there anything I can do to help myself go in at a higher rank in the meantime?
And I mean, not that quickly. I would say, I mean, if you go in as an as a 6-year enlistment, you'll get A1C.
Like right off the like I
Not
don't want
not
to say
day
right off the
one,
bat,
not day
but
one. I want to say there's some like time limits. Actually, I think I got it on my phone somewhere.
yeah.
No, I think it's like either when you graduate technical training, or if it's been like 2 months after graduating BMT, whichever one comes first. Um, but yeah, if you just do a 6-year enlistment, you're gonna get rank sooner than if you go in as a 4 year and you start as an E1, then you got to like wait all the time limits
Yeah.
to be jumping from rank to rank. The other thing too is, and I understand why some individuals choose to do a 4-year enlistment. Typically, it's usually because they're like not 100% sure. Like, man, I don't know. What if I don't like it? So, what I say to those individuals is, again, same thing. Just like be honest with yourself. Look at where you're at in life, your current situation, what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. Ultimately, the way I break it down to individuals is um, a bachelor's degree. If you join just for 4 years, like, man, you're gonna be hustling to be able to complete a bachelor's degree. But if you do 6 years, hey, you're definitely gonna have plenty of time that while you're in, your bachelor's degree is gonna be completed, completely paid by the Air Force. And on top of that, too, when young individuals join, I kind of give them the example of, hey, if you ever bought a brand new car, it takes 5 to 6 years to pay a car loan off.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to buy yourself a new car, like after 6 years, that brand new car that you bought that's still looking good is going to be paid off if you decide to get out.
Yeah. It's I get it. Like a lot of people that are enlisting are recently graduated high school, right? So they spent the last 4 years in high school and they're like, dude, that was the longest 4 years of my life. I can't imagine signing up for 6 years. Like 4 years, I'm good. But I'm here to tell you the difference between 4 and 6 years is like a blink of an eye. So that's one. Two is you did so much developing and growing between your freshman year and your senior year that of course that felt like forever. Plus, maybe you enjoyed school, maybe you didn't. And if you hated school, then it felt like a really long time. But with you going in there and do this, and then you end up in Rota, Spain, or
Yeah.
Stuttgart, Germany, or you end up in Puerto Rico, or you end up in Maelstrom in Montana, or like wherever. It's like you're gonna be there and you're going to be working with people, you're going to be doing a trade, you're going to be learning stuff. If you're following your advice, you're using tuition's assistance and you're getting a degree, and you can use the Air Force Cool program to get certifications. And then 4 years goes by and you're going to be like, dude, I need more time. Whereas if you just sign up for 6 years, you're not committing too much. I know 6 years for sounds like a long time, but it's really not.
Yeah,
And
because if you do 6 years, right, you're not rushing. You're like, oh man, I better hurry up and complete my bachelor's before I get out. So if you're rushing and taking most of your free time to do that, like you're not gonna have time to have fun.
yeah,
If you do a 6 year, man, you can have a lot of fun and still be able to accomplish all those things. And here's another thing too. A lot of people do not know this. Air Force, only branch that has its own community college. So for everybody that goes to BMT, because you are taking classes, you get college credits there. When you go to your technical training for your job, same thing, you get college credits. So like as an example, security forces, they'll get college credits towards a criminal justice degree. And you get a lot of credits to where by the time you get to your first base, um, you'll just need a couple more classes to complete an associate's. And there's the program, I forget what it's called, but there's a program where you could just go in and just test, like take a test in whatever subject you need.
prepping.
Yeah, clapping.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So
That's how I did a lot of my stuff. I just went in there and I clapped it. I clapped as much as I could. I didn't pass everything, but I
yeah,
clapped as much as I could. Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely the way to go. You got
yeah.
Tech
I
Sergeant
almost said the
Marquez in
clap.
here.
We have the clap.
Yeah, Tech Sergeant Marquez is in here supporting you. He said he's one of your teammates.
Oh, yeah. He
Yeah.
looks exactly like me, man. He's
Oh
like my
yeah.
twin. No, he's a very professional looking Air Force guy. He's buff, man. He's a great guy.
No, that's awesome. It's important to have good teammates.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like my whole team, man, my whole flight. Yeah, we good.
That's
Love
awesome.
you guys.
So you've got a development team that you have down there in Puerto Rico and stuff like that. When you're working with those guys, what have you found to help them stay prepared, like, and stay mentally in the game?
Mm, I talk trash.
Yeah, I mean, hey, dude,
Yeah.
talking trash and public shaming it has a place.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because and to be honest with you, I'm kind of like that from the get-go because special warfare, I mean, you're signing up for some hard stuff, like some hard stuff. And from the get-go, I always tell them like, yes, there's the minimum requirement, but you better be working so hard that you're well exceeding that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the goal, right? Um, but at the same time, people plateau at different levels. Because I even tell some of my applicants that make the comment to me, because I'll ask them like, so how soon do you think you can be ready, and how soon do you think you can go? Uh, and then some people be like, oh, well, I would like to like work out, train for a year. And I'm like, okay, well, go work out and train for a year and come back in a year. Um, but I do tell people like, you can train for a year. You can train for 5, for 10. You're never going to be ready.
nope.
You're never going to be ready.
Well,
So if you're,
you never think you're going to be ready.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, you just got to go. You got to be there to hopefully find that switch and figure out how to, when to turn it on and when to turn it off. As an example, like, if there's a car outside and you told me like, hey, go try to pick up that car, like I can't pick up a car, are you crazy? Now if you told me, yo, that car just ran your daughter over and she's under the wheel, oh bro, that bad
Dude,
boy's gonna make a couple of flips when I lift it.
that thing's getting
So
deadlifted straight up, brother.
yeah, so but yeah, just we again we try our best because we're not special warfare individuals. We're just recruiters, and we just try our best to get them prepared, not just physically, mentally. For me, dude, that's a big one. And I give them an example of like, hey, like when you go through the training, your biggest enemy is probably going to be yourself. Like your mind's going to be telling you like every minute, like, hey, what are we doing here? Like this sucks. This is hard. But as long as you exercise your mental strength from the beginning when you start working with a recruiter, then I mean that should only help you. And
Yeah,
a good example that I give my guys is, hey, one of these days you're going to work an extra long shift when you weren't planning on it because somebody didn't show up, and then you're going to go home tired and only get like 3 hours of sleep, and because you got to wake up for your morning workout, and you're going to tell yourself, hey, like, nah, like this is crazy, I only got 3 hours of sleep, we're just going to sleep in. If you get up and go, that's the mental toughness.
100%. You're exactly right. And if you guys don't think that there aren't days that I wake up at 4:45 to go work out and I don't want to go, or I sit there and I look at my shoes and I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do this. Like, you're mistaken. Like, I am just me, Aaron, Trent, any of the special warfare dudes, Navy SEALs, Green Berets are the exact same way. We all train our ass off, and we all have to train ourselves to just get up and go do it. And that's the reality. So I love that you um kind of emphasize that. Now, I do have to correct you on one thing, because
Okay.
you said that you are just a recruiter, and you're not just a recruiter. You and the rest of the recruiters, and I don't want to tell you something you already know, but you guys are essentially the first. You're the ambassadors for the Air Force. You are the people that they see at high schools. You're the people that they see in, I guess people don't really go to malls anymore, but right. But you're all over the social medias. You're the first person that they usually talk to, unless they have somebody in their family.
Mhm.
And so, and this sounds weird. Maybe you're our first line of defense, or you're our first screener for people who are so like you're not just a recruiter, man. You guys
I,
bust your ass because you guys work weekends too. Like we've got a tech
um,
sergeant. God, I'm gonna feel terrible because I miss forgetting his name. He's the San Diego recruiter. And dude, he's coming out on the weekend to to hang out with us, do stuff with all the recruits. He's going to have a question and answer with all these guys. He's even scored Chick-fil-A lunch for them Saturday for 50 people, right? So like there, and you guys also have to do your Air Force job on top of that. So again, I'm a little blow, I'm gassing you up here, but at the same time, like I heard you say I'm just a recruiter. You're not just a recruiter.
Now I appreciate that, and thank you for those kind words. So special warfare recruiting, like I said, I've recruited everything. Special war, and I was actually fearful of doing this recruiting, and I honestly kind of wanted to avoid it. But to be honest with you, even though like in my professional opinion, this is the hardest program to recruit for, but by far it's been my favorite and the most rewarding.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great to hear. Tech Sergeant Marquez said 20 weeks after BMT or completion of tech school, whichever comes first with a 6-year contract to get that E3. So thanks, Tech Sergeant Marquez.
Thank you, sir.
Uh, yeah, absolutely. All right, so got another one. I should also mention, and I'm just reading it verbatim. I should also
Right.
mention I'm trying for TAC-P, and another question is, I know you get to come back home for 12 to 14 days after completing tech school. I think he must be talking about Recruiters Assistance Program. When during the TAC-P pipeline, when do you get the chance to come back home during the TAC-P pipeline?
So like the normal jobs that are not special warfare, you do get that opportunity to come back after your tech school. Um, yeah, for special warfare, like it depends on like when you're doing your training. I
Yeah.
know they do allow you like during Christmas, but other than that, it's just I would imagine whenever there's the like a break in training, and that's
So
yeah.
there's a couple things with that, right? Is one, it depends on how much leave you have saved up too, right?
Mhm.
Because if you don't have the leave saved up, you can't dip into your emergency leave unless it's an emergency. So it depends on, what time of year you happen to join, and do you have enough, 2.5 days a year, or 2.5 days a month is what you earn, right? So if by Christmas time you happen to have 10 days saved up because you've been in for 5 months, then you have 10 days of leave. Um, but that also means like if you don't have the leave, maybe family could come out and see you during that Christmas time or a holiday weekend or something like that. But you nailed it, dude. It really does depend on where you're at in that pipeline, and in terms of what your liberties are, right? Because there's different liberties or freedoms that you're allowed depending on
Mhm.
where you're at within that tech school. And that's for not just special warfare, that's for all the tech schools,
Mhm.
all of the trainees, so
Yeah.
because you're newly in the Air Force, even though you graduated basic training, you're still, you've only been in for 9 weeks, 10 weeks at that point. We still need to make sure that we are mentoring you and taking care of you and making sure, which is probably, I got to admit, it's probably tough for a 33, 36-year-old doing that going, dude, are you kidding me right now? I've lived, 14 years of life as an adult and you're treating me like this. So like
Mhm.
I got that aspect of it, but you got to think,
Yeah.
we're planning for the lowest common denominator being 18-year-olds, and we've got to plan for them because that's mostly what we have coming
Oh
in.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. But actually, for the recruiters assistance program, they don't charge leave
Right.
days for that. Yeah,
Right.
so they like if you don't have enough leave days, they still do allow you to take up to 14 days. Because it's not charged. So
But you can't do that until after you've earned your beret and your AFSC or your Air Force Specialty Code. So
yeah,
yeah, and
so
I've heard
couple
that
of years.
you can do recruiters assistance program several times within your career, but
Oh,
most people just do it right after
yeah.
taking off.
Anybody can do it. I can do it. I can do a recruiters assistance program with the recruiter out in like Phoenix, Arizona for me to go out there for 14 days, help them out, and then see my brothers, you
Yeah.
know?
All right, I got another question here from Francisco. He goes, "If I'm married with two kids, what is the process? Do they stay behind while in the pipeline? What's the Air Force family plan look like?"
Yes, unfortunately they do stay home, through basic prep course, the pipeline. I have a lot of people again, right, that are married and have kids. They ask like, "Hey, would I be allowed to have my family move out there while I'm out there training?" I mean, that's a personal decision on them, but I usually say like, "Hey, like if they stay put, like that's where their family's at. That's where their friends is. That's where their life is at. Where you're going to be training, like you're going to be tired. And unfortunately, like if they're there, like they're going to want time from you that
Yeah,
you might not have. And that, they're going to be there by themselves. They only got you and themselves. And I just think it'd be a better choice just to, hey, take care of business, fly that, like you said, fly them out on the weekend, once a month, what, however often you want to fly them out. Um, but definitely, I mean, I wouldn't recommend, rooting up your entire family and moving them out there because a few months later, you're moving them again when you get your first assignment and whatnot. So,
yeah, no, I'm with you, man. It's moving is stressful enough for your family as
yeah.
it is, and you're gonna have plenty of moves throughout your career. Keep them in
Mhm.
that support network that they have, and just with the understanding, like, hey, I'm gonna be away from you. It's unfortunate, and that's just part of it.
Mhm.
um, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but somebody just asked what the vision requirements are for special warfare.
What vision requirements?
Yeah, like for 2020 and color blindness and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, like I don't memorize all that stuff because it don't
Okay.
matter if I know it or don't. Because this is what happens is because they'll go with their doctor, get their eyeballs checked with their doctor, and be like, "Oh, I'm good." But then when they go through the process with the recruiter, and then they go to the military entrance processing station, and then our doctors check their eyeballs, and then our doctor says, "Sorry, you're disqualified." So regardless, hey, if you're interested, just go see a recruiter, go through the process. Hopefully you qualify. If for some odd reason you don't qualify, there's still going to be other great Air Force jobs that help the mission one way or another.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to the person that put that in there, it's like all seven rubies or something like that. Here is, and I don't. This is the last thing that I have right now, which don't worry about the green because it just highlights just for pararescue. But you can see here you've got the 1Z1, which is PJ, 1Z2 CCT, 1Z3 TACP, and 1Z4 SR. And then it gives you all of the, let me see if I can zoom in some. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
and it gets, so distant
Oh, for
vision
yeah, yep.
2020, uncorrected distant vision is 2100, but it has to be correctable to 2020.
Hmm.
So then there's the depth perception requirements, which I don't know what MSD is.
Yeah,
Need 2 and 4 medical
yeah,
standards directory. So like those are all things that have to be taken into account.
yep.
Uh,
And
yeah,
it's not what your doctor's saying, it's what our doctors are gonna get results for, unfortunately.
which is frustrating, right? Because
Yeah.
and that's been a frustration with a lot of people that the MEPS, and I don't remember what MEPS stands for, but the MEPS.
Military Entrance Processing Station.
Boom, there we go. Thank you. Um, MEPS is it's frustrating because there are a lot of great people that get turned down for something that is you could say a misdiagnosis. Sometimes it is a misdiagnosis because your civilian doctor, like let's just use the vision thing, right? The Air Force is still using that, put your forehead on it and read the lines and stuff like that. Whereas if you go
Outdated
to
equipment.
right, it's outdated, it's antiquated. Whereas if you go to an optometrist, they've got different things like mirrors and refraction and stuff like that, and it's a better system. And unfortunately, you've got to make it through the system that the Air Force is dealing with, and it does need the update. Like you'll hear me say that all day long, but the best thing I can tell you is if you get denied for that kind of stuff, if you bring in stuff from your optometrist that says actually you do have good depth perception or you do have 2020, bring that with you, submit it or with the recruiter, submit it, and just see if the Surgeon General will then approve it.
Yep. Yeah, that's the other thing too is when we do get applicants that, they get temporarily qualified, and heck, I would even say in some situations, if the chief medical officer permanently disqualifies them, depending on what the situation is and how knowledgeable the recruiter might be, or who they can reach out to. There are waivers that are possible. Prime example, this was when I was an enlisted accessions recruiter. I had a varsity football team captain like join the Air Force. He had childhood asthma and he did the pulmonary function test, submitted that. Chief medical officer still disqualified him, sent it up to the Surgeon General for waiver approval. He denied it. And all I could do was look at this guy and be like, look, man, like, the only thing I can recommend is go take the pulmonary function test. No, the Mecaline asthma, some hardcore asthma test. Um, and I think he had to pay out of pocket, but he went and did it. It's a more extreme, harder test. He passed it with flying colors. I resubmitted it to the Surgeon General, and he approved it.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where yeah, you never accept no for an answer. Now there is a time where you just got to go like, look, man, you're going to have to accept no for an answer, but something like that. And another way that our stuff is kind of antiquated is, there was especially 80s and 90s and shoot, I'd even say the early 2000s, people were very man, I'm dating the hell out of myself by saying that. That's wild. So, there was a time where a lot of parents were medicating their kids with Ritalin and all kinds of ADHD stuff, and then, you know, didn't actually end up having ADHD. They're just,
They're just kids.
yeah, but they get disqualified because it's important to know what medication you were on, how long you were on it, and then sometimes that's fine if you were on that medication. When was the last time you took it? And if it's been, whatever length of time, depending on the medication, then you're
Yeah.
still good. So, it's tough and it's frustrating because we do lose a lot of great people.
Oh, I mean, I imagine a lot of good people don't even attempt because they think that they could be disqualified.
Yeah.
I would say like, hey, like for us, like for the recruiters, we get we get paid well. Like, we don't get any bonuses like for putting X amount of people in or nothing like that. A lot of people think that when we don't. But you know what? Like, Air Force pays very well, extremely well, actually, to where, that's what we get paid for. You come in, if you're doubting, like, come into the office, just have a quick conversation with a recruiter, and you might be surprised. The recruiter might, tell you, like, hey, yes, right now it's an issue, but here's what we can do to get the medical records updated and your evaluation updated, and we could possibly get you in.
Yeah, man, you just got to keep trucking along, keep trying to get after it.
Yeah.
Man, it's frustrating, and it's so easy. Like, I totally acknowledge that it's so easy for me to say that, being on this side of it and going, oh yeah, just
Yeah.
keep persevering. It's tough, especially because as you're, maybe you're. And here's what I would offer to those people that, like, look, man, like, say you're in a bad situation, right? I don't like plan B's. It's like, hey, that's the plan, right? But sometimes you guys, one is, I'm not ready to take an IFT yet, right? It's going to take me 9 months to 6 months, 9 months to get ready. Plus, maybe there's not enough ship dates, or not ship dates, but positions left. So maybe it's 3 ship dates from now, which is, 9 months.
Mhm.
But I'm in a situation right now where I've got to get out of this situation because it's a bad situation, or I'm homeless, or I'm something like that, right? So I come in and I do take that plan B. I go be something else within the Air Force. And whether that's a maintainer, security forces, personnelist, whatever that happens to be, and then later on, while I'm in, then I can try and cross train. So I never ever recommend coming in and cross training, because your career field may not let you go. You may have a supervisor or a commander or a chief that doesn't support you leaving either, or doesn't provide you the time to go work out and train, right? So it's never a guarantee. That's why I say, don't go in planning a cross train, because there's no guarantee that you'll be allowed to. The alibi to that, though, is if you're in a situation you got to get out of, or you just got to get in, then definitely do that. I support that wholeheartedly.
Oh, yeah. And I do believe they call it the first term airman cross training program. I think that program is pretty good, actually. Definitely not perfect, just like you're saying. Like, there's no guarantees in the Air Force or any other branch, but definitely, I would say it's like, what can you lose, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's like, every individual has to look upon themselves and their current situation. Hey, if you're making $35 an hour, if you're decently happy where you're at, and you got great benefits and health care and all that good stuff, you good, man. But if you want more, then yeah, you come in, take advantage of the great benefits that the Air Force offers. The other thing is going to be too, and a lot of people don't understand, but the higher quality of life that Air Force members have, being military members. Um, and just like you said earlier about the guy that, we work on the weekends, like, I don't work on the weekends, but I do, though. And it's funny because I always tell my applicants that, like, hey, don't call me on the weekends. I don't work on the weekends. But sometimes I'll go do events with them, and then I'll videotape it. But I always put in my comments, hey, I never work on the weekends, but when I do, it's for a good cause.
All right, so I'm gonna rapid fire some questions at you. This first one, though, because we're gonna wrap up here in a second. But Isabella, are there that many people that are trying, that many women that are trying for Air Force Special Warfare? Not when you compare it to the men. I mean, we're talking about a fraction. Do you have, in your development, do you have any women
I've had
that
a
have you?
few. I had a few that came out to check it out, but like, I would say my 2 years I've been out here, I've had maybe 10 females, and only one And it's funny too, because when I first like saw her, she's, small. And I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be another one. Like, it's gonna be too
Yeah.
hard. But no, man, holy cow, she was a beast. Great
Was
runner,
she
in great shape, super focused, professional young lady. Um, Her name's Kendra. Hopefully she sees these at some point. But yeah, she was awesome. But yeah, she shipped out. She was shooting for pararescue.
okay.
So
Cool.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the really though the answer to that is there's not that many, especially if you compare it. So
Yeah.
but that's okay. Uh
Yeah.
I got one here. What's the max age for cross trainees?
Cross trainees.
So
I don't
that's
even.
a weird
That's a weird
there's a
question.
weird math, right? Because the max age is just
42.
for a regular enlistment is 42. But
But
if you're prior service or
yeah, they
you
subtract it.
right, they subtract it. So if you're happen to be 45, but you served five, and I'm totally gonna mess up this public math, and you served 5 years already, then you would take that 5 years and subtract it from your age, and then
Hmm.
that puts you at 40, and then you could go through the pipeline. So that's how they work that.
But did that question, did they mean like just transferring over to a different branch instead of cross training? Because cross training, if you're a first term airman and you're like 42 when you join, like age doesn't matter. Like you're a first term airman, you can cross
Yeah,
train. Now, after your first assignment, now you're no longer a first term airman. That's when it that's when it gets challenging.
yeah. So I can't because they don't go into detail, and it's probably because they're not given that much detail on here. But um, so there we go. Um, is it the same recruiter for aspect war with the active duty or guard? The guard units have their own recruitments, right?
Correct.
So if you want to go be part of the California RQS Rescue Squadron, you have to reach out to that unit, and then they decide, hey, we're not hiring right now, or maybe
Mhm.
because they're not always hiring. So maybe they're closed up and they're like, we hire one time a year and it's during this block, and we'll come at and we'll invite you, like we need to see your scores. We'll invite you out to the unit. We're going to put you through a week long or a weekend of a whole bunch of hell and see
Mhm.
what you're made of, because the guard is hiring you for life, not for one assignment. So they want to make
Mhm.
sure that one, you're not going to quit. Two, you're not an asshole.
Mhm.
So
And back to what we were talking about earlier too about prior service. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like went guard or reserve, and then they're like, "Oh, I want to go active duty." I'm pretty sure that's not going to be easy.
yeah, uh,
you know?
yeah,
Oh
exactly.
man.
Let's see. Just read a couple of these comments real quick. Um, so I am third is asking about our operator training summit this weekend. We are planning another one in October, location to be determined. We got to work it out. And I don't know when in October either, but we are going to plan more of those. And then let's see. I was in the Air Force Reserves and have lost my discharge paperwork. Having a hell of a time getting my hands on it. Can a recruiter help with that, or am I out of luck?
Nope. But you can Google it. Uh, I don't know the website, but there is a website that military members can go on and type in their info, and then they can request their records.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always get a hold of your records. I can't remember the name of that either.
Yeah.
I
Maybe Marcus, if he's on. Marcus, look it up.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
No,
yeah,
but
it's
there
probably
but there
just
is a way. But there
va.gov or
is a
something
way.
like that.
Yeah.
But all right. So, man, dude, I appreciate you being out here or being out in Puerto Rico, doing the Air Force Special Warfare recruitment, crushing the dudes in development. Also, recruiting since 2013 and just serving and going from being I'll say born and raised slightly, right? Born in Mexico, definitely slightly raised in Mexico, then in Montana, becoming a citizen, recruiting and doing everything that you did to get those jets off the ground and all that kind of good stuff. Like, thanks for doing all that. And then thank you for joining us here and answering all these questions.
No, yeah, thank you. And, thank the whole special warfare community. Like I mentioned, best job, man. Best job, best mission. Like, it's amazing. I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm stoked to have been a part of it. So awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks for sending questions in the chat. Thanks for hitting us on Instagram. We appreciate you joining here. Don't forget before you leave to hit that like button and then make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell for a future episode. All right, we're out here. Light up. Boom.